Okay, what can you tell us about Olivia, season 2?
Whoop whoop! Let's see. I mean, Olivia's married. She never thought that would happen. Episode 1, I'm very excited for you guys to see the renovations in Olivia's apartment. You know, I think accommodating her husband, Lim, has made her a great interior decorator. And then obviously we jump right into the psychic connection, which goes from being an amazing thing to like the psychic connection from hell. And, you know, this partnership trying to navigate how do you have... We already have enough to deal with, and then on top of it, it's like I'm this incredibly independent woman who now is trying to navigate this new life, married life. How do I create my own space? How do I let a partner in? How do I set boundaries? How, you know, all the things. So, although we've got all the action going on, we've also got this intimate dialogue with Olivia of like, how does she do this new life, and how does she let herself trust a partner to do it with, because that's something she's never let herself do before.
So you're quite the dynamic personality in real life.
Thanks.
How does that personality inform or adapt or change the character as you've been doing this?
When you say dynamic, I'm assuming that's a compliment.
I mean it only as a compliment. I have quite the energy. I remember from before, and it's all coming back to me.
Well, you know, I have to ground it in Olivia, because she's definitely a force to be reckoned with, and especially, you know, the thing about her is she's a trained assassin, so she can be making a joke one second and throwing a knife at your face the next, you know, without even blinking. And so that's something I always have to carry into all my scenes, even if there's not even action written in the scene. I have to keep that in mind, like at any given moment. You know, it's like that kind of, that eagle eye, like being aware of everything at all times. And also bringing into every scene, even if it's not written, like her wounds and her past. And okay, yeah, she might be sarcastic in this scene, or she might be funny in this scene, or she might be angry in this scene, but where is that coming from? And it all comes from a place of her history and her past and her wounds and her, and then so how do I layer all that stuff on top? So I feel like for me that's one of the most fun things about her, is building this really broken character to like cover it up with all this strength, and then you just let little parts seep through. And I feel like with my personality, I get to pull moments from my own life where maybe I've covered here, or I've used humor to get through something painful, or, you know, something I'm going through I don't want to talk about, so I'll focus on this, or I'll go kick someone's ass, or like, I won't really, I'll take boxing class, but you know. So I feel like I get to express a lot of the things that I don't share in real life through Olivia.
So do you do a lot of training then to be this trained assassin on screen? You mentioned boxing, but do you have any other thing that you do?
I do, yeah. It was really important to me to do as many of my own stunts as possible, both season 1 and season 2. I just felt like, you know, when I want young girls and young women and moms everywhere watching this, and I want them seeing my face doing the action. I just think it's that much more powerful. And so I would, which is very different from me, because I'm very athletic, but I'm like hippy dippy, let's go ride horses and do yoga and like sweat up a mountain, you know. So for me to throw myself into this world of fight training, it's exhilarating, and I appreciate learning the self-defense, but it's also like I've had to find ways to counter it, because it's so masculine and it's so intense that it can be hard for me at times. So I do fight training, fight choreography, weapon training, stunt choreography. I do kickboxing, boxing, stretching. I mean, I do the gamut. I learned how to work with butterfly knives and do different. I mean, basically whatever is coming up. I learned season 1. I learned how to shoot a sniper with a running target. I mean, you name it, I've done it. So it's taught me a lot. but it's also sometimes it's been scary. You know, it's been hard for me to pick up some of these weapons because I'm not a my personality is not a weapon personality. So it's been interesting to do that, and NBC's been great about it. I've really stressed using knives and other weapons as much as possible instead of guns. That's very important to me. I think we have a real responsibility what we're putting on television, and I take it very seriously. And you know, although Olivia is a badass, she never misuses her power and her training, and I think that's really important to show. So I've learned a lot from the experience.
So we're not going to see you make a career change and move into this particular career path.
If you want to give me a 3-picture deal for Hunger Games, the prequel, I'm not going to turn it down.
But how has playing the character informed you as an actress?
I think it's taught me to use my body even more. You know, as an actor, it's so important to be open, but I feel like with Olivia, it's just like tripled that. I feel like I have to get in touch with each of my senses has to be so on point. I have to know if someone's lying to me, if they're telling the truth. I have to hear things from behind me. I have to know what weapons I have at what time. I have to know where I'm going next. I feel like it's just opened me up to using every part of my body, and then also every second matters. You know, she's just like, even if she's telling a joke, it all matters. She's doing it for a reason. So it's kind of opened me up to like, her mind is like a puzzle piece.
Is there a chance that this new relationship dynamic is going to change Olivia in any way, or is it going to make her insecure?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Big. Huge. Like Julia Roberts. Yeah. Episode 4 and 5 were really, really fun for me to explore because they're a whole different Olivia. And she doesn't see it coming. And a lot about her past is revealed. But for the first time ever, she's going through it with a partner. And so what does that mean? You know, is she ready to let go of that pain and trust someone new to help her get through it? You know, and there's some really, really beautiful scenes between Olivia and Len, and also Olivia and some family members that come to show. And it was fun for me to give her those moments because we haven't seen that from her before. And it was also like a little weird. It was like, wow, this is definitely a whole new Olivia. So I'm excited for you all to see that.
Are you able to step away from your character easily when your cameras are not rolling? Or does that character stay with you? Does it affect... You don't beat up any relationships of your own?
Well, only a few. No, then that's a great question. It depends on the characters. There's certain characters I actually have to make it a point to like call cut in my trailer. And literally, when I take off the wardrobe, take time to do a quick meditation and just separate myself from them, because otherwise it does get very dangerous. You can take, without even realizing it, you can take home their way of thinking or their way of just feeling the world, and then it's very hard and very confusing. So I think, you know, it's like a lot of actors know how to work off of action, but sometimes it's even more important to work off of cut and to know that line, you know? And with Olivia, I would say season 1 was more difficult for me with that than season 2. I think season 2, I know her so well, I'm able to separate us. And also there's so much healing that happens in season 2 for her that it feels like a much softer experience for me.
Sorry. How would you describe the overall theme of season 2 as a whole?
Love wins.
What was the most draining experience about season 1? The pun was not intended.
Honestly, we were working against such difficult weather. I remember there was a day where we had to switch all the scenes around, and they were like, Arielle going up in the tower to do the sniper scene, and it was like negative 20 up there, and I couldn't feel my fingers, and we were on a time clock, and I literally couldn't even make myself pull the trigger, and the camera was right here, so I couldn't fake it because it's seeing everything through the scope. And I'm looking at everyone down there in like their snow outfits, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this, how to get the shot, how to be a badass, how to do all the things. And then right after that scene, I had a running scene right into like indoor stuff where I was screaming and crying. So I just remember the actual schedule itself was so physically demanding, and there was so much like weather issues working against us that I would say it made it really hard. Like when I went home at night, I just took a bath and passed out. And I was like, get me the strength to do this again tomorrow. Because it was taxing on my body.
How is it when you're going from season 1 to season 2 and you have new people coming in? Do you find yourself mentoring them in some way, or saying, no, that's
Jamie and Nestor are pros. There's no mentoring there. I was so excited when I found out they were joining the season. They're such talented actors. They add such a fun element to the show because starting with episode 1, we've got our potential enemy right in our faces. It's like, who are you? What are you doing here? What are your intentions? Let me get to the bottom of this. And I loved it. I mean, sure, anyone new coming in, it can always create an awkward moment, but with them, it's been a piece of cake, and they're midnighters now.
Or otherwise, you feed off them.
Yeah, exactly. Or drain them.
Well, and I don't mean that.
Yeah.
If you visited Midnight Texas, if it was a real place yourself, what would be your reaction to that town?
I'd be like, yo, get me the hell out of this one street town. No, actually, I love taking road trips, and I love going through towns exactly like Midnight. I would probably avoid the whole supernatural part of it all. That I don't love, but I love discovering small towns off the beaten path where no one goes. To me, that's where the most interesting people live.
Has this show informed you in other ways, spiritually, or about mythology, or anything that you had been interested in, or now became interested in?
Definitely, I feel like it's been so important to take these big, ginormous supernatural themes and root them in reality and ask myself what that means to me. Okay, like if I'm fighting for someone's life, but it's against a supernatural demon, how do I make that real? When have I felt like that in my life? What have I felt powerless against someone bigger than me, or someone that I felt like had evil intentions? Because some people use the word like dark energy and it sounds so woo-woo, but that's also the same as someone talking shit about you. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's kind of been fun to navigate. Okay, when they say dark energy, they're talking shit. Like, I've made my own vocabulary based off of this show, which and I'm very spiritual. I do a lot of meditating. I use crystals. I mean, honestly, in real life, I'm like more like Fiji. I have my incense and my crystals and all the tools to help ground me and stay focused and calm. And so I think it's been fun for me to play in the world, and also a little scary at times. We were talking about cutting with the characters earlier. Like, there's definitely some themes in this show that make me uncomfortable, and I feel like I've had to like protect myself so that I don't feel uncomfortable while I'm filming, and that's been a challenge.
So you were the one more likely to be bullied than to do the bullying.
Yeah, or I would probably just like tell a joke, try and make them laugh. I don't know.
What's been your favorite part about filming in New Mexico?
The land. I love the land here. I'm living on a farm. My neighbors are horses and baby goats. I love the sunsets. I love the sunrises. I do my meditation outside on the land with my tire swing. There's like a tire swing I sit on that hangs from it's actually the largest cottonwood tree in Corrales. That's pretty cool. So yeah, and I've been horseback riding, and I love exploring the land here.
Was this very different from your previous life experience in terms of, or had you been to a desert like this before?
I've never filmed in a desert climate. I mean, before this, I was doing Ballers in Miami, so my body was like, "Hey, what the hell? Fuck you!" What? We're going from Miami to this? Okay, give me a minute to adjust.
Oh, heat, the dry heat versus.
And the elevation, though.
Oh yeah, and an elevation.
We've got the elevation and the dry heat. That's quite a combo. But once I'm adjusted, I love it.
All right, we gotta wrap. Just gotta get
Okay,
back to
so
work.
let me before.